Listen, there's a lot to learn when growing and scaling your business.
That's why we created the Business Choreography podcast, where we talk about choreographing your marketing, operations, and sales into dynamic systems that increase your revenue and your impact.
We'll explore solid business principles and discuss all things that make businesses dance to success with clarity.
We'll help you figure out where the holes are in your business and what you can do to fix them. Think of us as your official business choreographers, aka your insider growth strategists.
Remember, your choreography matters. Welcome to the Business Choreography Podcast. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Business Choreography, backstage and behind the scenes, where we talk about the planning and composition of the parts and pieces of business that make up the experience you deliver to your audience, your team, and you. Today, we have a very special guest. Today, we're so privileged to have Blair Nichols on the show. Blair is the owner of BBN Creative Management for diverse and mission-driven talent. He is a seasoned expert in building strategic speaking platforms for speakers and business leaders. Guys, this is something you need to know and something I can't wait to share with you and learn more about myself. So without further ado, let's bring Blair on to the stage. Blair, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me, Michael. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. So stoked to get into all of this stuff. We're going to start off with our first segment here. We like to keep it light and fun, but the first place we want to start is just some of the things that didn't go so well. So let's run the intro and we'll get into it. Choreo Confessions, the unscripted reality, where we talk about choreography that fell apart or just didn't work, and we want to know why. All right, Choreo Confessions. I love this part. This is, we always talk about things that go well, and it's so trendy to talk about everything that's perfect and right. And that's, social media in its finest. But we want to talk a little bit about some choreography in your business that you created and you planned out, and everything looked like it was going to, and then it just all fell apart and didn't go as planned.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I work with a lot of different clients who are speakers and entrepreneurs and have like different areas of business. In my business, I don't know that there's been like a ton of choreography that I set up and didn't work out. I think my growing pains have come from partnering with the wrong clients or clients that weren't really, the best partners, because they expect you to kind of juggle all the work and they're just going to wait for things to happen. And,
Right.
So I've had to learn more about how I vet and how I actually work with clients up front to figure out if a more meaningful management relationship or deeper relationship really makes sense. So I think for me, it's been more about creating that onboarding choreography, creating those opportunities for mutual time and investment to really suss out if this relationship is the right one. When talking to speakers and they're asking about agencies or managers and all these different things, that's often the time where they trip up. They're trying too hard to get to that next level, that next phase, or to jump into that next relationship. And they don't spend time, figuring out the right choreography that's going to set them up for success. So I think a lot of times, it's coming from over eagerness or coming from, the new starts for any venture, where you need to figure out the choreography before you get it right. So I'd say I definitely hit some stumblings like that along the way. And with clients, we've geared up for months around launching a course or something else like that. And we think we've got all the right pieces in place. And then you send it out and there's not a lot of purchases and there's not a lot of interest. And you kind of wonder what happened, what went wrong. And so I try to figure out how to build to the place where you can, create those opportunities and where you've got people in the position where they want to buy. But those are just some things that come to mind and some things that I know a lot of entrepreneurs have struggled with for sure.
Yeah, I love that. You said something about onboarding and choreographing that onboarding and learning that over time. Like, how can our listeners that are in business that have a scenario where they have to onboard a client, how can they really go in and create some choreography in that onboarding phase that actually is going to work? Is that just literally hard knocks? Like, is it the school hard knocks, or is it, or does it work to plan it out more?
Yeah, I mean, I think to optimize and to get it to the place where you're really happy with it does come from hard knocks, especially because everyone's business is different. But I think you can really take ownership if you are, you're providing the service, they're the customer. You really need to figure out what experience you want them to have. And the onboarding experience, we know, is one of the most important for new hires. And it's one of the most important for customers, because that's how they're going to base every opinion they have of you ongoing, is really how that initial period goes. So I think you can be very intentional with designing like how often you're going to meet, what occurs in that onboarding period. It's really the time where you have to set the tone, the pace. They're looking to you to lead them. If they're signing up for coaching, they want to be coached, they want to be guided.
Right.
I in my coaching work, I try to also be flexible and meeting people where they're at, and really customizing to there. But I have to lead the way. I have to say, okay, this is where we're going to start, and then this is where we're going. So so I think, figuring it out over time, yes, but even if you've never onboarded a client, you could sit and think about, okay, I want to spend an hour and a half with them in week 1, and week 2 we're going to spend an hour together, and week 3 another hour, just at least mapping out the time for what time are they going to have to contribute to this, so they understand that commitment up front. So I do think it's really important to really try to choreograph that out as much as possible, because people really want to have those expectations, and they want that to be clear. And then it's going to be better for your business if doing these certain things is going to help set you up for success. So being really thoughtful about what you need to get from the client, or where you need to get them to, and what that will entail. So yeah, I mean, I think you really need to figure that out up front, and keep iterating as you go.
I love that. All right, let's jump into the next one. Here we go. Current Events Choreo, exploring today's choreography, where we talk about the best piece of choreography in the news or current events. All right, current events. It's always great to get the perspective from you of what kind of things you're seeing in the world from other business owners, or other things going on in the media, or other businesses, corporations, whatever. But there's a lot of good choreography going on out there. And from your eyes, and from the things that you're doing, and the perspective of what you work on every day, what kind of current events choreography are you seeing out there that's like really cool?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously you can't go a day in the news without hearing about AI and different forms of automation. Some of my clients are AI experts, so I have the privilege of listening to them talk about some of the incredible applications and case studies and things that they've been doing with AI, which are far beyond the things in my business. But for so many solopreneurs and business owners, and people who can't afford full marketing departments, or the whole team of content writers and automating emails, there's so much now that falls under this big broad category of AI that really is more automation and things that have been around for a long time. But the tools are so much easier to use. Now you have things like CRMs that include AI automated things that you can connect. So there's just so much you can do, where it would require so much time to set up funnels and content and email sequences and all these things, that now these tools make it very simple. Even if you're a solopreneur, there's just so much technology that allows you to get in front of an audience and then capture more information from them, and to use that to your advantage. So if you haven't played around with different AI tools, like, I wouldn't say, oh, stop writing and let AI do everything, or stop. You still have to be in control. You have to be the creative director, but it really helps assist in filling in the gaps, and helps get you a draft going, helps then, like I said, in the technology side, I love how you can set it up so easily now, that if someone fills out a form on your website and they check box 2 and not box 3, you can get a completely different custom email than just So there's just so many ways that you can really automate individualization, in your outreach and in your follow-ups, that has been around, but now is just so much more robust and easier, that I think is really cool, for people to take advantage of.
It's so true. I mean, the whole AI scene is the pace that it's growing is incredible. I mean, I remember when it came out, and I guess it was November of 21, and it's just absolutely exploded, and it just seems as though there were a lot of people in the wings building that stuff, and then once it just burst through, everybody went to town on it. But how do you see that affecting the speaking industry these days? Is it hurting the speakers? Are they losing, like, are they leaning too much on AI, or or is it helping them because they're getting more distance between it? Like, what has your experience been there?
Yeah, I haven't seen it like dramatically change the industry yet. I think we're all kind of like em- searching, embracing, kind of looking for, where it can be utilized.
Right.
It definitely has dominated as a topic, as something that companies and leaders are really interested in hearing from experts. So it's definitely like been a hot topic of conversation. But I haven't really seen it change, the work so much just yet. I mean, I'm really hoping that keynote speakers aren't going to shift to using only AI to draft everything for them and
Right.
whatnot. But yeah, I think it's more on the back end still. Like I've
Right.
described, it's more in how, how the savvy ones are using it to follow up, to get people, onboarded onto their email lists as part of their presentations, and just the different tools that allow you and enable you to do that, and what are the other kind of clever things. And then, I think what we'll see though is AI powered search engines for speakers that get so much more powerful. It's really a challenge. If you wanted to
Right.
find every speaker on innovation, I bet you couldn't find them. I bet
Right.
you couldn't find one list of all of them. There is no central database. There is, it's can be very fragmented. So I'll be interested to see how AI can actually create, more searchability of speakers,
Right.
and finding people who really are, the experts on this niche topic that you're looking for. And we won't be limited by who's happens to be on a speakers bureau site, or who has optimized their SEO enough. Like, how do we get around some of the algorithms and the pay to play things that have been put in place by Google and other search engines that really dominates a lot of our industry. A lot of it is SEO driven. A lot of, speaking business happens because someone goes to a search engine, most likely Google, types in keynote speaker or sales speaker or motivational speaker, or they know the name of the person they want to find, and then they'll either find a speakers bureau website that can help them broker a speaker, or they might find the person directly. But you're going to get the same old Google search results that you get for anything. So I'm interested to see how AI can also kind of disrupt search engines in specific industries, and allow us like even better, clearer results. And that will certainly disrupt the bureau industry, because that's where a
Sure.
lot of their expertise and their business comes from, being not just the experts, but the brokers, the ones that have the relationships. And yeah, AI is going to continue to challenge and adjust that. But I think about the industry, and how there's been so many of these tools in the travel industry, and travel agents are still out there thriving. There's
Absolutely.
Humans are always going to be able to get more creative than the machines. It's just how we leverage the machines to our better effects.
I love that. That's a cool approach. I mean, I remember I graduated with a degree in geography and an emphasis in travel and tourism. And this was when part of our degree was learning how to write airplane tickets. And when I say write
Oh,
them, I mean like write them.
wow. Yeah.
Yeah, like crazy. And the thought that tickets would ever go away, an actual ticket that that was crazy. And then the internet exploded right towards the end of my right when I was graduating from college, and the travel industry exploded. And so the initial was that a lot of travel agents went out of business,
Hmm.
but the industry didn't die, and now travel agents that are out there are thriving because people know that they need the human touch to it. And I think that's going to be the same with AI. You
Mm.
need the human touch. You need the heart and soul that still backs up what a human can create. And I think that's going to remain the same in every industry. And AI will just help us be at least faster on the front end, but it'll still need the human touch. I
Yeah.
don't know.
So I certainly don't see the bureaus going completely out of business, but kind of like you described, I think it'll take some market share from, especially, millennials and Gen Z that
Sure.
prefer, a technical interface than chatting it up with someone on the phone. That's not what we do typically. But
Right.
I agree that, like, yeah, the better agents and the better companies are going to differentiate themselves on the service they provide, and of that human touch that will be super important. So yeah.
I love that. All right, this is one of my favorite segments. Let's move right along. Choreo Crap, exposing the bad choreo, where we expose the worst pieces of choreography that have been purchased. All right, just like it sounds, we've all bought crap for our businesses. I love to hear about the high ticket stuff. If you got any stories about that, you don't have to name them if you don't want to.
Yeah.
Probably shouldn't, but yeah, we'd love to hear about something that you've purchased that was bad choreography, bad business choreography for your business, and it just didn't work out.
Yeah, gosh. I mean, I'd have to admit, I think any bad investment is more often due to the user not applying it than the person providing it. Most of the time, I would say that's the case. So I will certainly own the accountability on the things that I bought and didn't really take advantage of, and thus didn't work out. Yeah, this one's hard for me. I don't have like a ton of crap stories. I think when I first started my business, I was really, oh yeah, I paid, a few $1,000s to a company to help set up my back end and do some of the stuff on QuickBooks. And because I didn't really know what I didn't know, I don't know that I got a lot of value out of it, because they would ask me a bunch of questions. Well, are you going to do this and this? And when this person signs up, are you going to have this contract? And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I need to get clients first. So I think sometimes you jump into things that you're not at the stage where you really need them in your business. You might you need the simpler tools and just to work out a Google sheet for a year or two until you're to the next level. And so I think I definitely wasted some time and money on services I wasn't quite ready to take advantage of. And so I kind of, got some basic value out of it, but probably not as much as I was supposed to. And I'd say the same even for my software. I use HubSpot, and I'm sure I'm not optimizing it and getting the full value out of it. And, just to keep my email list in one place, is worth something. But, I just say, especially, if a small business owner, I try to really look at something that can solve as many of your problems as possible and invest in that and really use it, and don't just go looking for another tool to bolt in that solves one problem that you now have to navigate marrying with 3 other systems that you've already set up. And a lot of the time I see where people get in trouble with this is from that. Like they bought all this crap. They're trying to like Frankenstein it all together. And they could have just gone with the one-stop shop in the first place and made it a little easier on themselves. Although I'll say it's a little frustrating when your website's on Squarespace, you've got HubSpot, you have QuickBooks. They all want to take money. They all want to collect payments now. So I'm like, okay, but I need bookkeeping. I also need a CRM, and I need my website hosting. But like sometimes there's too many features, right? Like just know also what is their core competency and what they're good at. Doesn't even a one-stop shop might be helpful, but sometimes you need to differentiate if you're not going to get a quality product, because hosting domains is not the same as being the experts in digital marketing.
Right. There's no doubt about that. Well,
yeah,
I'll just throw a shameless plug here. If you guys are looking for something like what Blair just talked about, we have a software called Choreo Suite. You should check it out. That's all I'll say. You might want to consider it. It'll do all the things he just said, and it's amazing. So anyway, besides that, I appreciate your candidness. I mean, that's like, it's so true. I mean, like the number of times in our software that we see tickets come in and it's just outright user error, but they think that there's a bug in the software, and we're like, there's no bug in the software. You just don't know how to use it.
Yeah. It's the education.
I appreciate the humbleness there and the call out, right, of yourself, because I think so many of us forget that, and it's like, well, that software's not working, and it's like, well, actually, it's just you. But
yeah, this software's not working. This course didn't work. 95% of courses, digital courses people buy, never get completed. And it's so funny to me when I've been at other companies that didn't have that, and they're like, well, we can see from the dashboard that you actually have only done one module. And, you know, it's kind of nice. You can say, well, you didn't really actually do it. So the smart ones have that built in, like they might have a guarantee, but you're going to have to prove that you actually put in the effort. But most people don't bother trying to get a refund. They just spend the money and they don't use it. And it just collects in the digital, trash pile of the internet.
No doubt. All right, let's move into the last one here. This one is super fun. I love this part. Choreo Confidential, the secret sauce, where we talk about insider secrets that make businesses dance to success. All right, this is where we talk about the secret sauce and all the cool stuff that you're doing. So we have two parts to this. One, we want to know about the secret sauce, what you're doing to help all of us get better. And the other is some of the secret sauce behind, like, what are you guys doing in your business to make things like work? Because we're all business owners too. We want to know the insights. We want to know what the secret sauce is to keep getting better ourselves.
Yeah, perfect. So thank you. I like to think that I'm different than, other speaker managers, or I've worked at the major bureaus and agencies and with all different types of speakers. A lot of them have a day job. A lot of them, this is just something that is a result of writing books or is adjacent to their career or part of it. Right. And then there's also a whole bunch of people that have made speaking their, primary job, or they want to make it their primary revenue driver. And they're really trying to figure out how to grow that and how to sustain that. So I've been on all different sides. I've worked directly with people who are speakers, who it's business development for them. I've been on the agency side. And so I've gotten to see, the different shades of it. And I think what my secret sauce is that I'm really helping people figure out what their unique strategy is. So many of the speakers, so much of the talent that I've worked with over the years has just left millions of dollars on the table because they haven't thought about optimizing their speaking. They haven't thought about every time they're in front of an audience, how do I get this audience, to join my email list, so that I can continue to market to them. That's one of the first big pieces I help people solve for. Wow. And then as a result of that, how am I introducing B2C and B2B offerings as a result of my speaking? So some people, they've already been successful in business and they want to start speaking so they can elevate themselves as a thought leader, but it should still continue to elevate your business when you do that. More often than not, it's people who want to grow speaking, and whether they've been successful in business or not. And so they need to grow their platform, in that. But in doing so, you need to be building things around it to make it sustainable. So digital courses and passive revenue. And then if you're going after a corporate space, if you're someone who, your thought leadership is geared towards people in, small to medium to large businesses, you might be going for paid speaking because that's how they bring speakers in, but you still want to be able to convert that into something higher, something high ticket, and how do you lay the groundwork for that, before you even set foot on stage? How are you laying the groundwork to have those conversations? I talk to speakers who've been crushing it, for 5 years, they've been booked and they're, making hundreds of thousands of dollars and they're enjoying it. And I asked them, wow, like, are you doing like corporate consulting as well? And they say, oh, no, I haven't started that. We're, next year, there could be an economic downturn. There could be another stupid pandemic. There could be anything. Have we not learned our lesson that we can't rely on one revenue channel of paid speaking that requires you to be in person in front of an audience? It's like 2021 came and left, and 2022, we were all back out there. And so what I really try to bring to my coaching primarily is, how are we building a strategy where speaking can be a major driver, but it's not the sole thing. And it also helps create other opportunities off of it that actually make it sustainable. It's not sustainable to like the highs and lows of speaking fees. And one year you might be hot and the next year you're not. There's a lot of work that goes into maintaining that. So I think it's really about like, how are you leveraging what you're doing out there to get the word out, and how does it relate to the other sides of your business, and how can you make them all work together? So I'd say that's kind of like on my side of the secret sauce, and how I'm creating that, what's working or what's different is because I've been on different sides of the business, because I've, had a unique opportunity to kind of work my way around the different sides of it all. I can also see where gaps are. I can see, where a lot of my competitors are, and a lot of people who are in the marketing space, or, who are in the agencies, or the, managers and their brokers, and they're doing similar work, and there's going to be overlap, but where is there space where I see opportunity? And that's more why I've carved out kind of this niche. I don't know a lot of people in my industry who are helping their speakers figure out the broader strategy, who are getting as granular as what's your lead magnet, what are we doing to convert these audiences, and as big as like, what's the big message, what's the big takeaway and positioning that's going to make these companies want to work with you more deeply, and how are you, doing that. So I think for me, I'm lucky that I've gotten to be on different sides of the industry. So no matter what industry you're in, if you've always been on like one side of it, if you're selling to the distributors and you've never been on the distribution side, like learn about that, get to know the deeper ins and outs of the whole ecosystem, because you might not be, realize what opportunities are there, or where there's a, white space to create something new or an unmet need. So I think if you can understand your whole ecosystem a lot more, you'll be able to zero in and better maybe cater your business to serving them, than you might have had an idea of just where you play in this market, and you might be just missing out on optimizing that.
Yeah, for sure. It's I think for a lot of people out there, it's such a different space, thinking, okay, should I have a manager for being a speaker? Is that like having like athletes have a manager and actors have a, tell us a little bit more about what that choreography looks like, because that is a whole piece of choreography that I don't think a lot of business owners have thought about.
Yeah, definitely. I encourage business owners of any size organization that, one of the most impactful things they can be doing is becoming more of the chief evangelist than simply the CEO. Them being out there speaking, helping build their brand and platform. It's not what every CEO wants to do, and it's not what every CEO is gifted at, or anyone in the organization. But if you can have a plan, in any size organization for speaking, I'd encourage you to do that, because there are all these different benefits. Now, if you're someone that's looking to either leave your corporate job, or you're an independent solopreneur, maybe you're a coach or a consultant already, and you're looking to speaking as a way to grow your business, then that's something I definitely encourage too, as opposed to digital ads or other ways you could be spending your marketing dollars. Getting out in front of your ideal clients and highlighting yourself as an expert, I think, is one of the most impactful ways. So that's a road where you might just be strategic. You might be not getting paid to speak because you're just speaking to the right audiences. You might be volunteering as a speaker because you're getting yourself up there. Those are all the things you should be doing, is trying to get yourself on as many stages as possible, whether it's through your corporate job or through your own efforts, until you can drive demand to you. The goal of, my work and my coaching is, how are we building a platform that drives speaking demand to you? And podcasts are obviously a great way of getting your story and your voice and your, ideas out there, and to get people to want to come and talk to you. But what are other stages, other areas that you can do that? And once you begin getting inbound demand, because you've built that, the topics up, and you've established yourself, that's where you can really negotiate fees. It's hard to pitch yourself and say, yeah, book me and pay me, instead of just like, cool, we know you want to speak. Like, why, we didn't come to you. So it's a lot harder to negotiate a fee if you're the one pitching them. It works for some people at lower levels of fees, but when you get to the higher levels, those are inbound, or those are facilitated through bureaus. So when you're at the 10K mark and you're starting to get more consistent, you probably want to start getting the attention of a bureau or a manager. But you really don't need you probably don't need a full-time manager, unless, you're getting enough that you don't want to manage on your own, and that but that you also want to grow, or you want just someone else that can better vet and whatever. A manager takes things off your plate. If you're a solopreneur and you're doing everything from fielding these requests and negotiating them and doing all the things, you're diminishing your own value, because you can negotiate higher when it's not on your own. but you're also just using your time on something that could be better used on what you should actually be doing, being out there, doing the speaking,
Right.
doing the content creation. And so it's about then thinking about the resources. So you don't need a manager necessarily. You might need just a really good assistant or
Right.
someone else that can, that knows how to have these conversations and can get things set up. But if you want to keep growing and breaking into the paid speaking world, you'll eventually, be wanting to create relationships with bureaus, and a manager is one of the best ways to get relationships with bureaus, because I know all of them, and we're not, there's hundreds and hundreds of non-exclusive clients, quote unquote. That's just the general term for speakers that aren't attached to an agency or a management company already. And they hear from them, and it's hard to sift through all those, but there's only so many managers and we have short rosters. And so one advantage we have is a direct line to the bureaus as marketers, as individuals that get you in front of those people who are doing a high volume of the booking more frequently. So there's always pros, cons. You're going to give up a portion of your gross fees, of course, as any artist does, is pays their agents a commission. But if you're at that place where they can help you grow what you've got, take things off your plate, it's a worthwhile investment at that point. In the meantime, just do as much as you can out there pro bono and keep building your profile so people start coming to you.
I love it. Well, this has been fun, and we certainly appreciate you coming and joining us today. And before we let you go, of course, I'd love to know some sage words of wisdom that you could pass on to us before we head out.
Well, I think the simplest thing to say is speaking begets more speaking. So don't look pro bono opportunities or opportunities to speak at your kid's school or your university or your church or anywhere. You never know who's in the audience. And if this is something that's really on your heart and you want to be out there, then you should be taking every opportunity you can to get out there and practice. And that's what's going to build, a career in this.
I love it. Well, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Appreciate you being here. Guys, listen, business choreography is what makes up your show. You might have a one-man band or a crazy circus or a finely tuned ceremony, but no matter what, if it's working, there's choreography behind it. If it's not, there probably isn't. So remember, it's your show, and if you don't choreograph it, it's going to suck. It's just how it is. So until next time, keep choreographing your business. We'll see you on the next episode. Take care.
Thanks for joining us today.
Want more business choreography?
Check out our website at bizchoreo.com to find out more.
And find out how the choreography for your marketing, operations, and sales can raise your revenue and create more impact.
Remember, every business needs choreography.